Welcome to one of the first videos on this channel, if not the first. If you can't tell already, this is going to be a Meet the Horses video. And I haven't done a proper introduction to the barn yet because I'd rather have all three owners of JSEC present as opposed to just myself, while this video I can do completely on my own. Quick disclaimer though, this is obviously all done in a game called Star Stable and not in real life. So that means none of the information here can 100% be applied to real life. Please do not take this information and use it on your horses or at your barn because this is just for fun. Anyways, I really hope you enjoy this video. First up is Lady, a 9-year-old appendix mare that does eventing. Lady is a salty mare who enjoys testing her riders, so she lives mostly by herself due to her attitude and biting habits. She really only wants one rider to bond with as opposed to a ton of lesson students, which we're currently working on together. Next up is Dante, a 5-year-old thoroughbred crossed gelding, whose discipline has yet to be decided as he is still in training. Dante is a spunky boy who has a lot of potential. He is mainly focused on flat work right now as he's still young, but he has gone over a few cross rails and some small jumps. He's super food motivated and a very curious boy. He is only pastured with 2 of their horses as he can be a bit much for the older geldings and doesn't really understand the concept of personal space. Overall, I think he can go very far with just a little bit of training. Next is Goose, aka Goose and Gander. Goose is a 6-year-old Irish sport horse gelding that we're hoping to show in Hunters pretty soon. Goose is a friendly guy on the ground, but can be a little stubborn while being ridden. He has a little bit of a bucking and rearing problem, which can be fixed with work, which we're of course working on right now. He likes to take his time and can be slow, and he's also Dante's absolute best friend, and they are both very much charmers around the barn. Next we have Via, aka Chaotic Beauty, this gorgeous 10-year-old Irish sport horse mare who does cross-country, but also some show jumping. Via is a sweet mare who likes her quiet time. She's at the bottom of the pecking order, but that doesn't stop her from being a strong horse to ride. She loves jumping, especially cross-country. The reason she is an eventer is because she really dislikes dressage and anything to do with a lot of ring work. She loves to please her rider and is a very friendly face to have around the barn. Meet Milo, who we still haven't picked a show name for him. He is a 12-year-old warm-blood gelding who is an all-rounder. Milo is a fun boy who loves doing lessons. He doesn't particularly bond with one person and is fine with most people, and because of that, he's a fan favorite of the intermediate students. He can be really stubborn and spooks every once in a while, which does make him tougher to ride than, say, the beginner horses. He likes doing pretty much everything and is super kind to every person he meets. He is also sort of like a fatherly figure to Dante and Goose, and he helps keep them in check. Now I'd like to introduce to you Hank. Hank is an adorable 10-year-old fjord gelding who is an all-rounder, and he is the baby of the barn, and for a good reason. He can be really childish, whether it's stretching his head out for pets, begging for treats, running around full speed in his field. Whatever it is, if it's childish, he probably does it. Also, you can't deny that he has a baby face. He is great in flat work and is a very willing horse. Although he does test his riders in jumping, he is a fan favorite among the younger riders as he has such a cute face and is definitely a people pleaser. Next up, we have the lovely Faye, an amazing 11-year-old Oldenburg mare who is so far an all-rounder. Faye is more of an advanced beginner horse because she has good intentions, but she does get a bit spooky sometimes. She also has a little bit of sass behind her and occasionally will test her riders, but not too much. Of course, if she did test her riders too much, then we'd make her an intermediate horse. You'll only need a few rides to warm up to her riding habits. She is wonderful in any discipline. No matter what it is, she's okay with it. Next up, we have Roxy, one of our 2 draft horse mares. Roxy is a 12-year-old Clydesdale mare who is an absolute sweetheart. Roxy is your typical friendly giant type horse. She may come off as big and intimidating, but she's actually just a big love bug. She loves a good scratch and behaves lovely on trails. She is a bit strong and does need a stronger handler to ride her, so she makes a really good beginner adult horse, but otherwise she's perfect. She loves to please her riders and is an absolute sweetheart. If you see her around the barn, feel free to give her a good pet because she won't fight it. Next up, we have Woody. Woody is a 19-year-old Connemara gelding who has been doing hunters for the last 9 years, I believe. Woody is an extremely lazy pony who you really have to get after to make him trot or canter. He is very friendly with younger kids and loves attention and treats of any sort. He is mostly retired from showing and is now spending his days doing lessons at the JSEC. Honestly, I think he prefers the lessons to the shows because he seems to have much more fun. He is the smallest pony at the barn, but a huge confidence giver for any younger or smaller beginner riders. Next up, I'd like you to meet Bean, a very kind 15-year-old American quarter horse gelding that does mostly western pleasure, trails, and occasionally some small jumps like we're doing here. He's very similar to Woody in the sense that he is very lazy, and sometimes you really have to get after him to get him moving forward, which isn't shocking seeing as they're best friends. The only difference between those two is that Bean is a bit more of a people pleaser, and it isn't as hard to get him to do what you want, provided you're using the correct cues. He is an extremely gentle horse, which has also made him a barn favorite, especially among the beginner riders. Last but not least, meet Pandora, an 18-year-old mare who's some sort of draft, we're not really sure. We got her from an auction and never really could find out what her exact breed was, so up until now we've just been referring to her as a draft. Pandora is an all-rounder, but much prefers groundwork. Pandora is a sweet mare who adores all the beginner riders. She is great in the walk and trot and has great responses. However, when you start getting into cantering and jumping, Pandora gets a lot feistier. She is very lazy, but does enjoy spending time with people, and you can't really tell here, but it was a bit of a struggle to keep her in the canter and to get her to go over the jumps, even if they're small. Those are all the horses we currently have at the barn. If you want to let us know which one is your favorite horse, feel free to do so. You can also leave some constructive criticism for future videos, but please remember this is only our first one, so hopefully it will only get better from here. Anyways, that's all I have to say for now, and see you in my next video, hopefully.